Hello everyone and welcome to the webinar. Today we're going to talk about GibbsCAM and automation. This webinar is being recorded and will send you a link via email tomorrow. During the webinar, if you have any questions, there is a chat window on the right hand side. Feel free to type in your questions and we will monitor them and try to answer them as we can. If not, we will get back to you with your answers. Okay? So just keep that in mind. It's on the right-hand side of your screen. For the best viewing experience, make sure you set the resolution to 1080p under settings in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. In this webinar, you're going to learn why automation. Faster programming. Okay, what's faster programming? The ability to read in a part and quickly put toolpaths on. And by using saved processes and multi-part programming, you're going to be able to do that very quickly. Program consistency. Well, here's another thing you can do. You can use macros. And with a macro, you can have it create the same things over and over again. Processes, parts, whatever you might want to do. And again, that will be consistent and you will be taking out all the human errors when you're trying to program your parts. And then you have some repeatability. So let's say we're doing the same part or similar parts. We can save processes, tooling, all those kinds of things. And that will allow you to go back and do very similar parts very quickly. And in this webinar, I'm going to show you how you can achieve some of these things very easily. Okay, so how's this going to help you? Well, again, save programming time on repeat jobs or just jobs in general. Okay, so if you save processes, if you save speeds and feeds, you save all these things, and you're doing similar type of work, it's going to definitely help you save time in programming. Family of parts. Well, with macros, you can create your own family of parts, whatever that might be. You can create the models, you can create all the programming, all those kinds of things that make family of parts easy to do. Programming different parts with commonly used tools and processes. Well, seems like a pretty easy one because if you have a machine set up that has, let's say, 40 pots, you can have a tool in, let's say, pot 27. And that tool always resides there. And it's a special tool, maybe a 3-flute tool or some kind of crazy tool that you use all the time. You can create a process, save it. Okay, then you don't have to worry again. Hey, I'm going to use this tool. I can use it to do 100 different things, and I can create 100 different processes with it to do different things for different materials, for example. So that again will really help you automate your process. And then best practices. Okay, so best practices is again speeds and feeds. You know your machines. You know what types of materials that you're cutting. You can take your knowledge and build that into the process. So the speeds, feeds, material types, all those things can be put in. And again, building your knowledge into the software. Okay, so that's kind of where we're going to go with this today. So with that said, let us begin. Okay. So with this part, we're going to machine this part completely with some automated processes. Okay, so we have some saved processes that we've already built, and we have a couple of macros that we've already built. And we're going to go through and we're going to program this part using those. As we do, we'll explain a little bit deeper on how all this stuff works and how you save them and those kinds of things. But at the beginning here, let's just go through this to show you how well this actually works. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is use a macro to put a vise around here. Okay, so I'll select my part. I'll go up here, and this is our macro language. Now you'll see that I have several different things in there that you can do. So the macro language really is the ability to build custom applications for Gibbs. Okay, and that's what it allows you to do, whatever that might be. It's pretty wide open. It's a pretty good language. It's easy to learn and can do some really nice things for family of parts and just some simple utility things. So in this case, we built a utility to put in a vise. So I'm going to click on that, and here's the dialog. And in this dialog, you can do a number of things. So I want to put some stock on. So put 50 thou on everywhere. Put a little bit more on the top. Let's do that, and we'll put some on the bottom. Okay. So you can put any kind of information you want to put in these to help you create whatever you're trying to create in the macro. Here I've set up so that I can change the part origin if I want. I can tell it where the part is, depending on where you program it from. Over here, we put on the vise. Do you want to use the bottom of the vise? Do you use parallels? Or do you want to use the top? Now, in these particular vices, most people use the top. It's pretty nice. This dovetail stuff works really well. Okay? So I'll just say okay to that. And then what happens is it reads in the files, solids as they were. And now we have assembled our part on a vise. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So that's just one really nice thing a macro can do. And basically we're importing the solids and building it around the part. So the macro language is a very nice tool that you can use. All right, so let's go off and let's program this thing now. And what I'm going to use when I program this is some processes that we've already created. Okay? Now, some of them are pretty cool. Some of them are pretty simple. But again, we're going to go back to that consistency of programming your parts. Okay? So up here I have placed the process manager in my toolbar here. Now you can get it from down here. If you right mouse click in the process, you can load a process list if you'd like. I prefer it up here. Again, we're going for speed and accuracy and trying to get things done a little bit quicker. So I like it up here. It's easier to find. So I'll just click on this here, and here's my manager. So now what I want to do is find some face milling. So let's go up here. We'll do milling, face mill. And here's a couple of face mills that I have set. So let's go ahead and we'll just double click on the 2-inch face mill. And basically it loads the tool and it loads the process. And if I say do it, it will build a tool path. Okay. So now that we have the tool path, that's all we have to do. We can just keep right on going here. Okay. So let's keep on going. So what's the next thing I might want to do? Let's cut around the outside. So again, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to look for something. Let's do contouring. And again, I have some contouring processes set up. And I have one here that has some extra offsets. So basically, I can come around the outside. So I'm going to go in and we'll turn on the face selection there. And I'm going to select the faces that I want to machine. And we'll select those guys there. Okay. So those are the faces that I want to machine. And I'm just going to say, do it. And there you go. Now this is not an error message. This is just saying, hey, listen, you use this slice body option, which gives us more analytic toolpath. And which means it's more lines and arcs as opposed to splines. So that's pretty cool as well. Okay, so we've done that. Very nice. So we've faced it off and we cut the outside. Now we can sim this right away. Now I turn on my stock transparency just so that I can see the part. I mean, you don't have to. You could just have it look like this and then machine the part. That's what you like. I personally like to see the part underneath the stock. Again, it's all up to what you want to do. So there we go. So we've faced it off, and we cut the outside. So at this point, what I want to do is let's cut these fillets. All right, so let's cut the fillets. So again, we'll pick the fillets. Now in some cases, and you'll see this a little bit later, some of these things are features and makes it a little bit easier, but you know, it works. So I'm going to do a surface flow pass here. We'll just say do it, and that's done. So again, we'll come in here. I'll just speed this up a little, and that's what we got so far. So very nice, very fast. All right, let's do the pockets. So with this pocket here, I'm going to select this face and the walls. Now there's two different ways I can do this. One is I can right mouse click, and down here at the bottom I can say select all the faces above. Or again, I have placed that command here in my toolbar, which makes it easy for me. Then I just have to select it, and it does it. Now, I have some pockets set up here. I like this advanced 3D pocket. Gives me a couple of options of more control, like not going in these holes, or you know, if it's going to be a long process, I'll just say do that. If it's going to be a long process, I can continue on and do other things. Okay, so that's really simple stuff here, and we're going along pretty fast. So it's nice. I love it. Let's have a look at this though. Okay, let's take a look at this process. Now, I've done several, and you're probably thinking, oh yeah, that's really cool, but you know, how hard is this to set up? Well, it's not hard at all. So let's look at this. So basically, we have a 1/4-inch tool, and this is where it gets really nice. So I can take this 1/4-inch tool, I can put any kind of holder, custom holder, offset, lengths, anything that I want, right? Comments, anything. Then in the process, I can go through the process here, and I can set all the parameters that I possibly could want. Okay? So whatever that might be, stock, step down values, profile, whatever. The interesting thing here is that I'm using the top surface Z as automatic and the feature depth as automatic. So basically what happens is, in all the processes that you've seen so far, that's what it does. It just looks at the size of the depths, and it creates the tool path for me, so I don't have to think about it, which is really nice. And this is really the key right here. So setting the automatic top surface and feature depth in Z. And then again, you set all your options. You know, here I have some small pocket control. I make it very large. This way I don't fall into the pockets. It just cuts over the top, and I don't have to worry about filling them in and all those other kinds of things. Entry and exit, boundary condition. In this case, it's silhouette. And then if it would be on any other work plane, but it's not. It's just 3 axes. Okay? So once I would do all that work, then I would just come over here, and on the process, I would just right mouse click, and I would say save the process list. That's it. I would go in here, I would find a place to put it, wherever that might be. Let's do that. Let's put this anywhere we want it to be, right? And then we would save it. Give it any name you'd like, and then save it. And that's it. Then this process that we created would be saved forever. And that's how all of these work. Really, really cool and simple. All right, so there's an explanation on how to save a process. Now let's continue on with our part. So what I want to do next here, I think, is let's do these slots up here. Now let's not get hung up on, oh, it's an open pocket, and I see a lot of people do that. They get hung up on that. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create, and again, I'm selecting all the tangent faces. Again, that's a right mouse click. A contour that I like. And I found that this actually does work pretty good. So I have something called a small slot contour, and we'll say do that. And again, I use the slice body to give me analytics tool paths. So, you know, it's a bit cleaner tool path. or I shouldn't say that it's a cleaner toolpath. It's the G code is a bit less because we're using lines and arcs. Okay, so far so good. So far, if I go back to the beginning here, we've faced off the part and it went pretty fast. So sorry, milled it to the pockets and now did the slots. And so far everything looks pretty good. Okay, let's do this inside here. Let's do this one here. Now again, I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to say select all the wall faces. And again, I have something that I like. And again, once you build these processes, you're going to know what you have. You're going to remember what you have. And you're going to be able to use them over and over again. These are some that I've created that I find very useful for me. Okay, so there you go. So now we've created all of this very quickly. All right? Great. So let's go ahead and let's do the holes. Okay, now for the holes, I'm going to use the hole manager. So I'm going to select the whole entire part and I'm going to run the hole manager. So I'm going to run AFR here. And basically what this does is it goes out and it finds all the holes and it finds some things out about the holes, their depths, diameters, those kinds of things. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to auto group those together. And basically what auto group does, and there's some preferences you can set, is to put like holes together. Okay, so that's what it does. And you can set up the preferences to have it do whatever you like. In this case, I have it set up so that they're the same size holes. Now you see these little green marks here. These are actually through holes. And the X at the top tells me where it's going to start. All right. What I can do here is I can click on one and then right mouse click and I can activate the CS. So this is really nice too. So if you have a hole on an angle and you're trying to find the CS or the coordinate system or the angle of the hole, you can use that. You can reverse the direction. We can edit the hole. So we can actually click on edit the hole. And inside here, you have, you know, the diameter. It's just a simple hole. Know some things about it, the depths of it, you know, how high it's above there's a gap above it, which is clearance. You can split the hole up. You can change it if you'd like. You can make it a tapped hole if you like. There's a lot of things here that you can do to the hole. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a macro to go ahead and machine a couple of these holes. You can also right mouse click on that when it's highlighted and grab the whole group. So at the bottom here, we say group 3. And then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to say, go ahead and drill that for me. Now, this particular macro has some stuff we put in there just so I can see what's going on. So in this case, it says, hey, you know, that's the size of the hole. And by the way, you're done. Because it happens pretty fast. So we want to make sure that we're getting all the things we're getting. And then let's go ahead and we'll select this group here. And we'll do the same thing. And that should be done as well. So very quick, very easy. Now, let's do these holes here. Now, basically, I know that these holes are tapped holes because I'm looking at the drawing and the drawing says, hey, these have to be 1032. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to reopen my process manager and I'm going to go to my drilling and I do have some inch taps set up. So in this case, 1032. Now again, this is one of those things where it's going to save you some time. If you're tapping holes, you can set whatever you want, you know, quarter inch, half 13s, whatever the case may be. It's beneficial for speeds, feeds, all those kinds of things to make it easier for you. And then you don't have to worry about, oh, gee whiz, you know, I put in the wrong feed rate or I put in the wrong size or something's wrong and break taps. Okay. So in this case, I've set it, it's done. I don't have to worry about it. Now for these here guys here, I know these are 12, so I'm going to click on that, say do it. And there you go. So just like that, we'll go back here, we'll run the whole thing. Just like that, I have gone in, programmed this entire part by using processes. And what you've never seen me do here is you've never seen me actually pick any depths or anything. You just have pick some faces. And I'm letting the software do everything for me. And that's really what we want. Now, it takes a little longer because I'm talking, but if I did sit down and program this part, it'd be half the time easy, maybe even less than that, because I could just go through all the things that I'm going to do. And the last thing I want to show you here is Machine Sim. So with our kinematics that we have, I'm going to go ahead and load a machine up. And here we have our machine. And now with our advanced kinematics that we do have in software, I can go in, I can program a complete part, and then I can see it on the machine. And in this case, it would check for everything. It's going to check for gouging. It's going to check for everything. Okay, if we're going to hit any clamps, if we're going to hit the vise, if we're going to hit anything, we can set it up so that it checks for the gouge. So at the end of the day, we've programmed the entire part. We put it on a machine, and we simulate the whole entire process to make sure that everything we're going to do is going to be right. So again, very fast, very, very easy to do. Okay? Okay, so with this part here, what I'd like to do is just use some of the processes that we've used and go ahead and machine the part. Okay? So we'll open up the process manager here, and let's face it off. So we're going to use our 2-inch face mill, which we used before. We'll say do it, and it's going to create our toolpath for us. And then this part here is a little bit unique. It's got some features. So in this case, we're going to use features to machine the part. So top pocket here. Let's look at our pockets that we have, and I'm going to pick my favorite one that I like here. 3 flute. We'll say do it. And we're going to go ahead and machine that pocket. And now I'll go here and I'll select the second pocket. Now, I like this process, so I know it's going to work here. So I just say do it. And I'm done. And I've now pocketed these two very confidently that I know that this is a process I like. It's got the right speeds and feeds. It's got the right tools. It basically has everything that I need. So let's go and let's do the fillet. Let's do this top fillet here. Okay. So in our surface machining, we've already done this on the first part, right? We used this surface flow process on the first part to cut the fillets. So let's use it to cut these fillets as well. And I'll cut this fillet here. We'll say do it. So now we can look at this and we can see that we're going to go off and we're going to face it, and we're going to go and we're going to cut the pockets on this part. And again, we have it set up on the machine, ready to go. Perfect. Now, let's go in and let's do something here. We want to take this toolpath here and we want to move it to here. So in our plugins, we have something that's called TP trains. And I happen to know the distance already. So I'm just going to say do it. So I type in the value and it's going to copy this toolpath to here. Okay, because I know it's symmetrical. And we'll pick this toolpath here. We'll do the same thing. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm programming this part without having to touch anything. And that's what you should keep in mind here. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. Let's make this simple. I'll do the fillets. Easy. So now I've programmed the pocketing and all the fillets very quickly. Now the next thing I want to do here is let's go ahead and let's come down here and let's do this lower shape here. And I've created a constant step over toolpath that I like. And I'm going to say do it. And because it's an advanced 3D toolpath, I can come down in here, click on this one, and say do it. So both toolpaths are being created at the same time because it's multi-threaded. Okay? So that means I can continue to work while the other one is generating the toolpath. So let's take this here, and we're going to go up to our plugins and our TP trans, and this time I'm going to go the other direction with it. So we'll copy this one up there. This process is now done. I can come up here, say do it, move this up here, and there we go. We've basically programmed almost this complete part. Now there would be a couple other things I would go in and maybe do some contouring, but I think you can see that there's things we can do here very quickly. Another thing we could do here, for example, is these little pockets here. So let's go in and let's select the pockets, and we're going to select the faces above, select faces above, there, faces above, faces above. So we've picked those pockets there. And maybe let's even do these. Okay. Now, I've created a small pocketing routine that I like for this with a small ball mill, and I'll just say do it. And it's going to go off and it's going to pocket all those areas as well. So you can see here, using a combination of processes, features, and just picking some faces, we're quickly able to program a very complicated, or what looks like a very complicated part. Okay? Good. Okay, so here's another part here that's kind of interesting, and this part here, we're going to talk a little bit about the hole manager. And the way our hole manager works and the way we do our holes is the holes are in segments. Okay, so if you have a chamfer and a step down and another drilled hole through, it could be 3 segments. In this case here, we have 2 segment holes, right? So we have the counter bore and the hole through, so they're 2 segments. If there would be a chamfer, then it would be 3 segments. So that's kind of how we do this, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple of things here. I'm going to run the hole manager on this guy. And it goes out and it finds all the holes, and we're going to auto group them together, which makes a lot of sense to put all like holes together. And let's go in and let's have a look here. So we're going to pick this group here. And what we want to do is make sure that the order of this is good. Okay, so there's a lot of things we can do inside the hole manager. In this case, I'm going to select reorder, and we'll show the order so we can see it. So it does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that might be okay. But let's do a planar sort on those. So now it's a little bit different, right? 1, 2, 3, and that makes more sense to me. And I'll say okay to that. Let's pick these outside holes here, and we'll do the same thing. And I'm doing this manually because I think it's better. You can do it however you like. I prefer to have control over what I'm trying to accomplish here. And this to me looks like that'll be okay as well. And I think that's going to be good enough for now. Let's check these guys here. Let's check these guys here. There we go. All right. And we'll show the order. And it's kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, which I don't like. I'd rather go 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's sort that as well. Much better. We'll say okay to that. Okay, so there we go. So now we've sorted them out. We've brought them in, and now we need to machine them. So in this case, I'm going to go in and I'm going to select this group, just like we did before. Right mouse click on it, select that group. And I'm going to use my machining macro. And that's basically telling me what size the holes are and that it is done. So it's gone in and it's drilled, milled both the counterbores and the holes. And I can do the same thing over here. So you want to talk about automation and making your life really easy. This is one way to do that. Quick and easy. In here, let's select this group here so you can see how I'm programming this. And again, this is a single hole here, right? So that's just one hole. And then lastly, I'm not going to do them all because as you can see, it works pretty good. And you could do this all day long. And again, by selecting the groups, you can go in and we can see this machined. So it's going to machine everything, come through, cut all the pockets, do all the holes, do all the drilling, do all the things that you needed to do. Oh, it's in a loop, sorry. Let's turn that loop off. That's what it was doing, was in a loop. And there you go. So again, quick, easy, and pretty cool. Okay, so that's a bit of the hole manager. Works really well, and I would use it, and I do use it every single day. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about family apart programming. Okay, so in this case, we've created a macro like we talked about earlier, where a macro is the ability to create special processes and special utilities or just some special programming that you might need for your business. So here I'm going to use a macro here and have a macro of a sample that maybe this is the part that we create on a regular basis. Just different size parts. Okay, so in this case, we put in some values and we'll just leave the default values for now. We'll say okay to that. And then it goes out there and it starts to generate the part. Now it generates the part itself. And I have another dialog that comes up that says, hey, by the way, you want stock, you want this, you want some other parameters when we're machining the part, because maybe this is going to go out to be ground or whatever the case may be. So I'm just going to say okay to that. And it's going to go out and machine the part for me, automatically create the tools, everything that I need. It also says, hey, do you have any grooves? We have this one set up so that if you do have a groove in your part, it would go off and do a grooving operation. I'm just going to say no, and there's the part completely machined. So let's go in here to the OpSim so we can see it. I'm going to slow this down a hair. And you can see now that we're completely done with the part. Okay? So again, family apart programming. So this is done. You get another order for another job. You open up your macro that you've created for this particular part. This time it's a bit different. So it's maybe 1 inch and this is 3 inches. And maybe this hole's a little bit bigger, 1.5 or something like that. Okay, so now we have a completely different part here. We can say okay to that and we have a completely different part. Basically ask me the same questions and we can eliminate those menus if you want, but at the end of the day, they may be useful. We'll say no, and now again, we have a complete part programmed with all the tools, all the information, all the things that you like. Okay? So this is just one way of doing family apart programming. With a macro, it makes it very simple and very easy. Okay? Perfect. Okay, so let's recap. So in this part, we used a macro to load the vise in the part. We used different processes for face milling, for pocketing, for contouring. A lot of different things here that you can use to create this part. Here we had a more complex part. We used the same facing routine, pocketing routines, the same process to cut the fillets on the outside. We used advanced 3D to do a constant step over. So again, a lot of different combinations of things to make this all work really fast and easy. And then family of part programming. So here we created one part, saved it, went off, created another part. So with all the things that we've done today, make your programming quick, fast, and easy. Okay then, I just want to say thanks for attending our webinar. I hope it was informative and useful to you. You can visit the expo area on the left side for more information, or you can contact your local Gibbs reseller to schedule a demonstration. So again, thank you and have a great day.